watching plays and scores retold. In this podcast the game unfolds. Every try and tackle shared. Legends of the field, none compared. Echoes of cheers, the crowd gets loud. In this audio space, we feel so proud. Pass the word, let the speakers blast. Rugby tales from the present and past. Through the airwaves, our spirits cast. In this rugby love, forever vast.
Hallo almal.
Hallo.
Niels.
As Pieter, ek sien jy is so gretig, jy spring sommer dadelik weg.
Ja.
Welcome guys, welcome. Okay, julle kom ons begin. I want to start with the Argentina versus the British and Irish Lions game. I didn't see that coming. But kudos for Argentina. Man, they held their fight. The first half, the last 10 minutes, and the second half, the last 10 minutes was just Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was even saying to, sorry,
Go.
I was even saying to Wynand on his WhatsApp private, Argentina can win this one because the Britain Irish players still play for Leicester. So they must come in and then start practicing. I said, if Argentina can be in the last 20 minutes in the game, so 10 points or around 10, 8 points, they can still win this one. And then they came back and they was going in front and they came back again to win it. I was impressed. I think the Springboks must look at that for the Rugby Championship.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's a big warning for the Rugby Championship because Argentina have shown again they won't go away. You know, they're that team where they got ahead, they lost the lead, they got ahead. You had that feeling of there was the hunger that was there, and I think with the British and Irish Lions they might have been a bit complacent where they felt like this is a game that we'll win at the end, so it's fine. And then it just didn't happen for them.
Yeah, the start looked like they were rushing everything. With that 2 disallowed tries, that should have been tries. But it was like they wanted to play some type of brand that's quite more familiar to the Southern Hemisphere. They wanted to play the game of Argentina. And they didn't get that right anyway. They should have stuck to their guns and played more with the forwards and make the game tight. Not get it loose like with Australia, with New Zealand, with all the Southern Hemisphere. You don't want to do that. And even guys like Fiji, France in the UK, you don't want to give those guys any loose ball.
No.
Yeah, my take on that was, I think Argentina, obviously, I also don't think that they will win, but I think they had a great game, obviously. But I must also say that I think the British and Irish Lions, in the beginning of the series, they always test the water still. The guys haven't been practicing so much together yet. And as the series always goes on, you can always see especially a series where there's 3 tests against, say, Australia or New Zealand or South Africa. The second and the third test, they're always much better than their first test and the week games and so forth. But hats off to Argentina. I mean, they outplayed them solidly. And people say that the British and Irish Lions played badly, but I don't think so. I think it was just a very good, solid performance from Argentina.
Yeah. So rumors is out that Andy Farrell there's still place for 1 person or 2 persons. Do you guys think Owen will get that place? Because he seems very very adamant that I'm going to get it because it's my father. But I think Andy Farrell's thinking you have to learn to tackle, my boy. You've been doing it for so long. Leave that stuff. You're going to give me cards.
Mm. No, exactly. And the last thing you want is, look, I think everyone's expecting the Lions to beat Australia, but you can't have it. And I mean, the Lions have been stung by that before, or actually, sorry, no, I think New Zealand was stung by it. But there've been Lions games that have hinged on someone getting a red card, and whether or not they do the 20-minute red card or not. You can't put yourself in a position now where you have guys who might be a liability like that. I think also, look, at this point, you have to feel, especially if they want to be expansive, Finn Russell's their guy. Finn Russell has to be their guy.
Yeah. Moya, there were talks about that 20-minute red card. Is it from this year old test is it gonna be a thing, or is it gonna wait until World Cup or something like that?
It sounds like it's going to be trialed. I want to say it's from this year. It's either from this year or latest next year, but it is sounding like it's coming into play very soon.
Do you think it's gonna be
Yeah.
with the Champions Cup or with all the tests?
I think all the tests.
Yeah, I also think it's all the test. But it's just, I know France is kicking against it. They're not very happy with that. But as far as I'm aware that it's actually going to go through at this stage. So yeah, it will be interesting. Actually, didn't think of it that way. But I also think it's it's going to be trialed now immediately, as far as I know.
Yeah.
That's a good thing,
So
because you don't want to punish a team for one player's mistake.
yeah, I mean, I think back to the 2017 Super Rugby final.
Kwaga,
Right? If the 20-minute red card had been in place there, at least after 20 minutes, we would have had someone on. Problem is, I really do wonder if now refs are going to be even more strict where, whereas it could be a yellow card for head contact where both people have dipped or that sort of thing, they'll now be like, well, you know what, red, because you'll have someone on you can bring on in 20 minutes, so what does it matter?
that's
Yeah, I
interesting.
want to find out something about this religion, what and so on, potential. See you in the scrum, and you take the ball out and you go around that corner, and the other guy's also still in the scrum and he's coming and you go to hit on the head. I don't understand. I think you put too much pressure on the players. Now the player must think about, I must check what this guy's going to do. And I must also prepare for that. That sport is very fast. I don't know. I think that this just too a little bit harsh for me. I don't know what you think about that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like what the Varsity Cup tried, where they said, for example, because one of the things actually that I've always had an issue with is players will literally put their head down and run. Now, you can't tell me, oh, you know what, as a tackler, it's a card against me where I've tried to bend at the hips, I've tried to get low, someone's head is almost touching the floor, and I tackle them, I make head contact, and you're like, no, that was your fault. How? Because how am I supposed to legally tackle a person where they're doing that? So I think that the problem that comes in now is how do you balance those two things? Can you, just like some weeks back, we were talking about players jumping over tackles. Like you can't jump over a tackle attempt. Can we not say, at least when it's not by the try line? By the try line, I guess there's not too much you can do because you have to try, you're trying to ground the ball over the line. But can we not say that in open play, it's actually a penalty against you if you're trying to dip your head when you run? Because you're actually putting a tackler at a disadvantage, and also you're putting your own health at risk.
Yeah, for me, I've always said there's obviously a lot of contradiction. How the refs interpret the games and how they blow the whistle the games. But I think one of the rules that should come in is what I actually like is in the Varsity Cup, where the captain can almost like in cricket, you can ask for a review, and and you can actually even get a turnover on that. If the decision was from the ref to give a penalty, you can actually get a review on that, which I think is a brilliant idea always. And I think in the Varsity Cup, I think they each have one or two. I'm not sure. I know in cricket you have
It's
two.
one per half, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
Problem with that, I have you're gonna get guys or teams that's gonna take advantage of that to take a quick break. You a bit of momentum. We saw when they tried that in the URC with Kitsel. He was just reviewing everything with Bongi. Players that's very vocal. They would tend to just go for it just to take a gap, get that little bit of a break the momentum of the other team. Because usually when you're on the back foot, that's going to be your tragedy. You want to break the other opponent's momentum. And one thing very
Yeah.
maybe review something that you know you're going to lose, but it's going to get that 5 minutes or 4 minutes of your time back just to get that breath in your lungs again.
And I mean that's the weirdness, right? Is do you make it where even if it's successful, you still only get one per half? Because the problem is as well, if say you do it and you're successful, the next time, like even where you aren't calling for a formal review, you can now actually influence the referee by going to them to be like, yeah, but you remember that other one that you missed as well. And sure, the referee might
Yeah.
be like, well, do you want a formal review? But they might also second guess themselves and be like, you know what, if you're telling me this, you were right on that one. Okay, fine. If you say something to me, I'll probably call that exact thing because yes, you were right the first time.
Yeah. Give more
I like.
responsibility to the TMOs.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of gets slipped by them. We spoke about that with Higu. Most of the TMOs, they don't want to go against the on-field decision.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. The on-field decision is we stick to that. Even if you see on the TMO video that there's no try. I mean, look at that one with against Glasgow. Was it Glasgow in our first URC season?
Mm,
That was definitely a no try, but they gave it.
yeah.
What is a good concern for me, and I'm sure it was one of the 4 or 5 rules that they changed in the beginning of the year, was that they said you're not allowed to walk to the lineouts anymore. The lineouts
Mm,
should
mm.
be much quicker. And still, you see the guys are just walking. And
Yeah.
another concern is that the ref can say, use it. How many guys actually get blown for that? Here and there, you'd get a ref that actually gets hurtful and he'll say, listen, yeah, I'm going to blow you. But check at the number 9s, it's like, use it. How many times? And then you say after the third use it, you'll get a loose forward or a lock that will go and make the train. So then it's more of a delay. And yeah, so I don't know. It's again contradictory, how they interpret it.
And with the conversion clocks, we see messed up things lately with guys want to go for poles and then the ref calls him back for something else and then no, the time is still running. You have to take the kick. Um,
Mm,
uh, there's a confusion about that. Make it a minute and stick to the minute. The 30 seconds, yeah, is to get the game flowing. But I think give it a minute. And then after
yeah.
that minute, if you blow your whistle and you say, okay, that's a try, don't blow that whistle again because that try has been scored. If it's been reviewed by the TMO and the try has been given, don't the conversion is already set. If that ball is placed, don't blow your whistle again.
Exactly. And you know what annoys me about that? And we've seen it happen where the referee, before the kickoff is taken, can still say, I want to review it. I suppose what they're trying to avoid is, I mean, I suppose a team wouldn't actually take a quick kickoff anyway, so it's fine. But like, but my feeling with it is kick the conversion, because like if the ball is placed, allow the kick to happen. You can then say, hold on, there is something to be reviewed, because the kick has happened, whether, you haven't sort of interrupted the kicker's routine and then be like, oh yeah, now try do it. Oh, look, it missed. Oops. Or, oh, okay, it still went through. Rather allow the full thing to happen. Then, if you wish to review something, you review quickly, and then you carry on with the game.
Yeah, and then the other thing is as well, they can't decide. That it's like fault finding. Sometimes you see, okay, there was a scrum at the 22, say for instance. The scrum half was played without the ball. Now they review it. They see, okay, now he wasn't played without the ball. It was a legal tackle. Then they will say, and then they discuss it. The TMO 3 times, 4 times play that video, and then the ref says, no. It's not this play. It was a couple of plays before that. And then you end up on the halfway line, 60 phases earlier to check something there.
Yeah.
Surely that, if you want to check something, you must be specific. Listen, I saw this happen at this point, this place on the field involving this player and that player. And you review that. If you don't find any fault, leave it then. Don't go 3-4 phases before that. What built up to that? Because in Afrikaans we have a saying that says, as jy hond wil slaan, sal jy 'n stok kry. Directly translated, if you want to hit a dog, you will find a stick.
Yeah, and exactly. I think, look, one nice thing is some of the best refs will, in play, like as the movements are going, be like, they'll actually signal to the TMO, like, hey, can you clear the tackle that happened, on number this, as play is going. That's what you do. You can't have it where you're like, something happened somewhere in there. Let's just keep going back till we find it, because that honestly sounds like, as you say, you're trying to find the stick because you're like, no. Something had to have gone wrong there.
Yeah, that's why I like Nigel Owens. He's the type of guy. He will keep the play flowing, but he will warn and say, check for me this, and let the play flow. No stoppage. And if there's another infringement, then he will stop and say, listen, we have 2 penalties here, this for this and that for that. Then I can deal with that. But to go and fault find, you're taking time up. Rugby is supposed to be an 80-minute game. But we're going sometimes like the American football. We're going 120 minutes because of all the stoppages for TMOs and the scrum resets and this and that.
Yeah, no, true.
Guys, you want to speak about the Springbok game? How do you feel about the team selection?
I mean, I'm happy with it, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite an interesting one. But also I will say, like, I have personal sort of stake in it, because in Klabakanye went to the same school I went to, so like I'm just really, really, really excited. Like, I mean, I'm a fan of his anyway, and also he plays for the Lions, but it's like a triple threat in a way where I'm like so happy for him.
Yeah, and I also was going to say about Arsenati. I'm very happy about that. And congratulations on the Stallions guy. Like I said to you the other day, it's cricketers. Like Quinton de Kock, if I recall correctly, he's also from there. But in any case, Arsenati is very good. But my problem is now I read that now Don Iemand sent him on this Don Iemand course or whatever, his own, what they call it, Don Staldraad or whatever. So now he's lost 18 kilograms. And my opinion is, will he still be that effective? Sometimes, and I read also a thing the other day that Subred wrote, and they said no, but he's too slow, and I couldn't disagree more with that, because he was super fast for that weight of that guy.
Yeah.
We've always said that, he pumps the guys, he's everywhere. it's very, for his weight. I mean, he's everywhere on the field. And the guy was saying that he's super slow, but which is obviously utter nonsense because he's very mobile. He means a shitload to the Lions. And I just hope that it will go forward to the Springboks, and I hope that doesn't actually impact negatively on his game. Because Russia's got a different way of coaching the guys and more according to plan. Whereas with the Lions, you've got more like your running game. You can in Afrikaans they call it vrije deals. So you've got more openness to play your own game. So. Yeah, I don't know if the whole 18 kilograms is going to suit him, but let's just see.
Yeah. Pieter,
If
wat
we
dink jy?
just think if we just think about this guy, Abernathy, a few years ago, about 2-3 years, everybody was saying, "Oh, this guy's only playing because he's going to get McDonald's or KFC and so on."
Ek was een van hulle.
Then he was playing for the Lions Currie Cup team and so on. But look, in the last 2 years, wow, this guy came and he shows, I'm hungry, I want to do good. And he's doing well. I even saw today a clip, what they say, he can be one of the best loose forward in South Africa, even in the world. Just give him time to get his game right and everything. Now, I love this guy. He's playing his heart out.
Yeah, when he came in, the jersey couldn't fit even the stomach. And I was one of them that said, "Aish, the KFC. We must stop eating KFC." But he was that type of player that he silenced you with his plays. Game in, game out. If you want to find fault with him and you can't get it, and the next game you can't get it, and you start to realize, but wait, this guy doesn't do bad. He's actually good. And today, like I said on Binance Group, I can't imagine myself a Lions 15 team, whether it's Challenge Cup, whether it's any URC game, doesn't matter. Asanati needs to be there. I can't imagine Asanati not being in a Lions 15 team. I can't imagine him without without him.
No, exactly. And I'll say, like, I was the person defending him from day one because even with the extra weight, he was still everywhere on the park. And people are like, "Oh, he's slow." I'm like, he's a tight head prop. His job, we don't need tight head props sprinting on, like a wing. That's not their job. He makes his hits and he's good in the scrum. Like, that's really his job. And he's decent in carrying, And now my thing is, though, you can see, and the nice thing is as well, 26 is still a good, like, a young age for a prop. Right.
Solid.
If we can get him, like, peaking by the World Cup, really exciting times ahead, because that's then where you can be like, okay, you know what? We've got someone in there. Look, at this point, I'm not sure if he would displace Vincent Koch, right? Because that's actually his competition. I think Frans Malherbe, I'm not sure if he'll make the next World Cup. So you're thinking...
No, that's slow.
Right?
That's slow.
I'm like, Vincent Koch will probably be there. So now the thing is, Ken and Tlabakane go in and say, okay, you know what, if he's not starting, he's on the bench, or, it's vice versa. Because really, like, we have a lot of props who are aging out, but Wilco Low will have something to say about that. So you get the feeling that, Vincent Koch and Wilco Low will probably be the preferred two. But if he can be in the conversation, already that's a big step. And he's young enough where, hey, if he can go to the coming World Cup, he can be in the next one as well. And hopefully he can do some good for the team.
Yeah, and also, and also, I mean, it's going to be the heaviest box that we've ever had. I think he's down to 145 now. And just think of him and Thomas du Toit, because I think Thomas du Toit was the heaviest, in the box. So if they're playing together and you've got a huge guy like RG Snyman and Eben Etzbeth, And the forward pack, the weight that you can have is going to be enormous. And I agree with you on the fact that he's only 26 years old. A prop only starts developing when they're early 30s, so he's just going to get stronger and stronger and better. So I'm looking very forward to this.
Yeah, I was just about to say he's coming to his peak. But coming back to the Springbok team.
To your point, Elias.
No, you can go, Moya.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, that would be such a heavy pack that's also mobile. And that is really, again, that's the Swiss Army knife in terms of the forwards, where you can have guys who they're big, they're strong, but also they're mobile. And their fitness is up such that, you won't be like, no, you know what, it's fine. They're big and strong, but we'll tire them out. Where they can just keep going and going, and that work rate is up. Oh, it's going to be magic.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, since we're honest, I want to come back to the Springbok team. I wasn't expecting that. How many times, even when Eugene was still with us, me and him and Kobus especially, our three, how many times did we ask, put the new players in, don't keep on with the same old players for 6 years, you have to build. And man, Rassie is building. And it's going to be exciting to see it, because if you take it into perspective, how do you prepare for a Barbarian team? There's no footage that you can prepare for. You're going in blind. You are going in blind. And Sam Kane, it's his last time that he can face the Springboks. Now to captain the Barbarians. It's going to be huge for him. Guys like Conor Murray, out of international games for Ireland, it will be his last time he's going to play the Springboks. Same with Mahoney. It's going to be huge. And then I thought to myself, okay, Rassie, well played. Because you guys know me and Rassie, we come a long way. I disagree a lot of things with Rassie. I think still he's scallum. I'm not going to say, and there's no better word in English in Afrikaans with a scallum. But the guy is actually gaining my respect. On Wynand's group, I don't know if it's true or not, with a photo of Asenati saying that apparently Rassie said he's been watching him for 2 years now. Okay, why now the cap? That's my thought, my thinking now. Already I'm on the attack for Rassie, and then I see just a picture below that. He's comparing Morne van der Berg to Aaron Smith. I mean that's a huge compliment.
Yeah,
That's a huge compliment. So I'm like, Rassie, you silence me again. Yeah, throw me a curveball there. I have nothing bad to say.
No, I think
So I've been silenced by Rassie Erasmus.
Yeah, and look, one friend of mine always says he's an evil genius. There's things that he does where he's thought ahead to be like, oh no, you know what? People are going to be annoyed about this. I'll throw in this thing, and then people will be like, okay, look, I was going to say something, but now I can't. Okay, it's fine.
That's where I'm now. I was looking forward to that team sheet and to this team and say, yeah, the same old people again. And Willie's getting, okay, it's not going to be a cap because Barbarians, you don't get a cap. It doesn't count as a test. But still, I was thinking, he's going to give Willie a run because that's going to be the margin that we have for Italy. Willie's going to get his 100 and this and that. And then, surprise.
Well, look, I want to say, best believe. Yeah, it's a weird one. It doesn't count as a test cap, which is unfortunate. But I'm really hoping though that still the guys, especially the guys from the Lions, get their caps in the upcoming test. But I am also thinking about it like this. We've got. Yeah, with 2 games against Italy and 1 against Georgia, best believe Villaroo is going to feature. Like they have to get him to 100, and I think now's the time to do it. And also giving Fussy this game to just say, okay, listen, show us that, we don't have to now going into the rugby championship feel like, you know what, maybe we should be starting Villaroo over you. But I was looking at the back line, and, from is very familiar. And in some ways I'm happy where they've given two young guys the keys at 9 and 10 to say, listen, if you guys can really cook here, then, you guys can get this back line firing. That's your job. You've got an experienced backline. Even Fussy, who's got a few caps, still, he knows the guys he's working with in the back three, and also just generally in the back line. So it's like, okay, you guys now actually, in a way, you could say those three, like the three, Mornay, Sasha, and Fussy, have got the keys now. So they actually go, fine, let's actually take the opportunity and show me why you guys should be our starting guys.
I just hope Mornay doesn't fumble. He don't do the things he did in those two tests that he had caps. Because otherwise, if Mornay's not going to perform, he's going to be either it's going to be Kobus Reinach or it's going to be Grant Williams, or maybe even Jaden. Because we're still a bit far from the Champions Cup. This is only for the Barbarians and the two Italy and the Georgia the squad. A lot of things can change. I feel a bit. Elias, jy kan maar gaan.
Sorry, Niels. What bothers me about that is the fact that Mornay van der Berg, the first test, like you said, he's had 2 caps. The first test that he had was a dreadful test for me for his startup, because it was raining like that, and he didn't know what to do. And like Moya was saying now, that it might be a wet feature on Saturday as well.
Exactly.
So I'm also hoping that it's not going to backfire on him, because he's such a talented player.
But I think one thing that's encouraging is Rusty has picked him again. Remember, even with injuries and that type of thing, Rusty could have said, listen, what, morning, I'm keeping Kobus Reinach, I'm keeping Faf. That's who I'm keeping in for the moment. We'll call you if we need you. But he's kept him in. So, the hope is that he can do enough both, like not just in the fans' eyes, but in Rusty's eyes as well, where Rusty will be like, yeah, this is why I'm keeping this guy in.
Yeah.
Same with Sasha, with him getting playing injured. I thought he and Rashi, the breaches had burned. I was surprised to see him. I was gladly surprised to see him in the squad. I thought Sasha, Rashi's no quad for you.
But the hope is now, and look, obviously we hope he stays healthy, but if he does pick up any injuries, that he's not going to do what he did last time and be like,
Moya, you're breaking up.
oh, sorry. Oh, 1 second.
You were talking about Sasha.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, if he's now, like he shouldn't do what he did last time, where he got injured and kept it quiet.
Pieter, is jy nog reg? Jy's baie stil daar.
Ja, maar julle kans, ek sien julle praat so lekker, nou luister ons maar. But yeah, I think with the Barbarians, it's going to be like open match. I think Rusty will also say, to entertain the crowd, then tell them, okay, go out and play your kind of game. we don't want to get hiding, actually, But I think if they do that, I think Krampus will show them what he can do, even with Sasa and even with the centers. I'm really excited about the game. You can't plan, you can't see how they're going to play because it's all over the world. They're using players, but I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, Peter, also, you were talking about the centers now. A player that I'm very excited about is Ethan Hooker, and that they chose him actually on his best position, outside center. I think he's going to have a bloody good game because he's really such a talented player. And I also read the other day that Damien Dalende was saying, this guy is so talented and he keeps him on his toes and he's actually learning from the youngster. And I thought that, for such a big player, to say that about a young player, that's, they're pretty good. And obviously, morale boost for young Ethan Hooker. So, yeah, it's going to be a very good game. I agree.
Elias, this is a question for you. Who would you prefer to have gotten the cap? Julius or Hooker?
Yeah, it's so difficult because we've got so much depth. Henke van Wyk is also still in the mix, but I think he's just had a few injuries now. And obviously, Eastern will just get it will come along again because that's what Rosie does. I think for this one, Ethan Hooker, I'd rather say that Ethan Hooker at this stage. Julius is obviously also a very talented player. Again, also looking at Angela Davis, I think he's going to stand a bigger chance of getting a buck cap at the Lions. And also, what is our youngster that's still at school that's coming in?
Ethan Adams.
Ethan Adams, for me, also for the future. I mean, we've got so much depth on centers. I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited to see that guy in a Lions jersey. Whether it's Curry Cup, whether it's URC, it doesn't matter. I just want to see him in a Lions backline because damn, that guy is fire.
And it's quite huge. I think it's 105, 106 his weight, and it's fast.
He's big. It's big.
That guy from that also, yeah.
Yeah, for his body, you can't imagine him being that fast as well. And he has a step. He makes the line straight. He has a step. He's huge on his legs. He's not a little tackle that's going to be needed to take him down.
So if you use someone like that for the Springboks or even for the Lions, you use him. If some of you guys can think back years ago, Dean Hall was also players almost like Joe Lomo. The time he was playing for the Lions, they were using him to come into through the centers and so on. He was a winger to break that line, to put 2-3 people on him and then put the ball back or put the ball for the wings or the fullback and so on. And I think the Lions now, I'm not a big fan of Story, but I think someone was sitting and talking to this guy and said, we need this young talent and big players because we like to do running rugby and so on. I think this guy's Hooker and even Van Wyk and so, if you can open the game, oh man, they're going to destroy you. Then you must just have a number 9, number 10 that are putting those guys in places and on speed and so on. You can't beat speed and bigness. If you can get that right, oh man, I'm seeing a good year for the Lions.
Yeah, Peter, I agree with that. And also, the fact that Ethan Adams, well, he's still at school. Obviously, he's not going to be playing Curry Cup. I can't think because, the guy must study for his finals and
stuff.
But it's the first time that I hear that.
You can do matric in 6 months. You can do matric in 6 months.
It's the first time that I hear that they're actually saying that they admitted, they're openly speaking about the Lions, that they're going to fast track him, not putting him in the junior structures. He's going to go straight through, for the URC. And that's pretty, I think that's a big gamble, but I think it's a very good gamble. And also another ad that we're getting now is Chris Smith. What a
Oh
solid number
yeah,
10. And we
oh
were
yeah.
talking about the other night that, because it wasn't confirmed with me, we were still talking about the other night. Since November, and I think you were saying, Moya, since November left us, we didn't have that structure at the number 10. We had Lombard there, brilliant, 1 or 2 games, then he falls out of the bus. The same with one of the guys that I also actually like, Kate Voliter. It's not just making it. Where you'll get a number 10 like Chris Smith that is solid every single game. So very consistent.
That's where the Bulls lost the plot. Getting Goosen from overseas and putting Chris Smith second place. That's where they went wrong, I think. There's no way you can compare Johan Goosen to Chris Smith. Um, that guy he's like a George White. We spoke about George White. He's consistent each game with Bollitter. But one game Bollitter, his kicking will be on, and his defense and letting his backline flow is off. Then another game he will let that backline fire, but his kicking is off. It's not this. He's never in a game in all aspects. He's doing good. He's doing well. He's like Manny Lebok. Manny Lebok can very attacking fly off, very good attacking fly off, but when it comes to the kicking, he lacks. We need
Yeah,
somebody that can do all of those, either well, not brilliant, but at least well. That you can count on this guy. You pick him at 10. If there's going to be a penalty, he will slot that penalty. If you're going for territory, he will be the guy that does that. Not going to do well things like chip kicks and kicking to the corners with wings coming up and catching the ball, and you get this awesome tries and stuff. But at least the basics will be done.
Yeah. No, that's it. I think it's that where there's a time for meat and potatoes and there's a time for fancy stuff. And you need to balance those where it can't all be like all the fancy things. And I think that's it. It's like, look, Wilson is one of those guys where, and don't get me wrong, he is a good player, but I think it is that where his reputation has preceded him a lot. And unfortunately, he picks up injuries. He does it yeah. I would have personally still said to Chris Smith, like, I'm giving you the keys. Person, we will slot in either at 15 or he'll come on for you, but we're giving you this time, like, where, make the jersey your own. Like, here, like, yeah, you have competition that will be pushing you. So let's see you do what you do.
Okay, quick question. We have Dobela and we have Chris Smith. URC. Who's the one you're gonna go for URC? You have to choose either one of them. We use backup like Gianni Lombard or somebody. This is your choice. Will you take Chris Smith for URC, or will you take Dombela?
I think you take both of them for URC, and then you bring Francis and you bring Wallet to the Curry Cup and just backups, if something happened to one of those guys and so on. But I think those two must be number 1, number 2 for the URC.
No, Peter, but you must choose one. Only one. Only one of them.
Okay, then I go for Smith then.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smith.
Moya?
I'm sweating here. I am honestly sweating. Look, I'm gonna go Dobela because he suits our game plan better. But I will say this: why I'm sweating is, like I said, sometimes you need the meat and potatoes, and Chris Smith, particularly with his reliable kicking, will be a massive asset for us. So yeah, but I'll stick to my call.
The reason I asked the question because I can't tell you guys. The same like you're thinking now, Moya. I want to see more of Dombela. I want to see more of him. I haven't seen much of him. I want to see more. But then I know what I'm gonna get with Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm stuck between places.
Actually, if you think Christmas, it's his first time he's coming to the Lions, so he must come into a pattern by the Lions first, because he was playing now in France and they like this one and that one and so on. So he must start they must test the water with him and say, hey, you know what, we're going to bring you in, but slowly. We're not going to put you under pressure all the time. Or we must see. Maybe you can't come, or you come here and you play different rugby that he was used to. At the Bulls, he was playing like that. In France, he was playing something else. Now he's coming to the Lions, playing something else again. So I think it's going to take him about 2, 3, 5, maybe half of the season to get into the pattern. So maybe that Tabula guy can start and they can work together around them and say, okay, we will bring you in now and then. Some matches we keep you out. That's only way it's going to work. You can't expect this guy is coming in and he must perform because it's a new challenge for him also.
But the good thing about Christmas is, hell, I love Elton Yankees, and it breaks my heart to say this, but Yankees under pressure wasn't very good. He showed that at the Springboks. When his forward pack is on the front foot, Yankees will shine and shine all day long. But as soon as his forward pack is a bit struggling, then something's just lacking. Chris Smith, on the other hand, that guy, he can play under pressure and he can also play on the front foot. Dombela, we haven't seen too much of him. So this comes to my next question. So we have Johanny Lombard, we have Kate Voliter, we have Bronson Mills, that can play 10. We have Sam Francis, we have Chris Smith. That's 5 flyouts. Not all of them are going to get. Okay, say, let's leave Bronson Mills. He can play center as well. Let's take only Francis, Voliter, Lombard, and Chris Smith. Which one would you like to leave out of that conversation? Because let's be honest, you won't accommodate all 4 flyers. Somebody's going to get left out.
I would take out volunteer because it doesn't. Every match shows what you can do. Sometimes it's doing well, sometimes not. I think also change. So I think I would put him on the side, and he's still young. I don't know. You don't want to break him or think I'm not good enough.
You, Moya?
So I would move out Lombard because he's even said he prefers playing 15. So let's put him at 15. Also, really good on him for playing in a position that's essentially his second position and doing as well as he's done. But yeah, I would shift him because he's expressed that interest of playing 15 rather than 10.
Yeah, Elias?
Just I'll take out Francis. So we've all got a different number 10 that we'll actually take out. But for me, Francis was a very good junior player. Also with the junior box, was much more solid at number 10 when he was at the juniors. And maybe it's the step up, and maybe he hasn't had a lot of game time. But for me, I don't think he's on the one side, Voliter also. But for me, I'm a Voliter fan. I've still got a lot of faith in him because I've seen, if France wanted to buy him, and he would have probably been playing for France now by this time if it wasn't for COVID. Him and Henko van Wyk, like I said before, they were bought from, by the French directly after school. Such high value that the French had of them, So luckily they're back in the setup now. I just think, since the injuries, he didn't come back all the way that he should have. But yeah, just to answer your question, sorry for the long answer, but Francis.
Me, I'm going with Lombard as well. Not because he can play 15 because to me, let's put him at 15. He's behind Kwan Hon. He's even behind Mafura for me. He's like he would be my third choice at 15. That
Mhm.
and the thing is, we had Lombard back for 2 years. Much of it he wasn't on any form, and then injured, and then got his form back again, and then injured again. So to place all your eggs in one bucket and say, Lombard, we're gonna back you. Um, what if he disappoints again? So only on that reason, nothing against Gianni Lombard. When he fires, he fires. But history repeats itself. I'm not gonna be a guy that's gonna back him either at 15 or at 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Niels, can,
Yes.
can, can I ask a question quickly? Something completely different, and sorry for changing the whole subject, but I see our time is running out a bit. And before our time is over, the whole fact about, and I know there's no Bull supporters on here, but my take on the whole thing about Jake White getting left out, well, almost getting fired, you know,
Sure.
so let's just say Cash, we give him another year. He makes number 12 or 13 on the log. Obviously, he didn't choke 3 times, but still, will you? And yeah, I mean, you guys know how I feel about Jake White. Will you rather be a number 2 or will you rather be a number 13? I mean, for a guy that has taken the Bulls for 3 times to a final and they want to fire him. And just think about back, and I was thinking about earlier on about the revolt in the Alliance in 2013 with Josh Strauss, with John Mitchell.
Mm,
John, then Ackerman took over there, and just after that, Josh Strauss, because he was much more of a unionist, he left the Lions. And now
yeah.
with the Bulls, as I read from the report, they say it's Ranukia and Kutsia that's
Mm.
revolting and ganging up against Jake White. So what will happen? It's just funny that Ackerman in 2013 took over when there was issues at the Lions, and now his name has been mentioned to take over from the Bulls. I don't know what you guys take is on it.
I feel
I
for
guess he's
Jake
the
White.
fixer.
I truly feel for Jake White. Like you say, Elias, how good do you want to be? I mean, let's be honest. We don't like the Bulls, but Jake White, he took over. He bought all of the players, and he bought this guys and that guys, and he didn't get results to show it. Trophy wise, not log wise, trophy wise. And then this season, something changed. I was the one to mention as well. The last 6, 7 games of the Bulls, there's a different type of brand of rugby they're playing. It's not that same old stump car global rugby. You saw their backline and the forwards really engaging and start gelling, and it was actually good to see the Bulls play rugby. Now you take a coach that has done that, take the blueprint from the Blue Bulls away, uh, get another game plan, let them play a more, I can't say expensive type of rugby, but a more decent watching type of brand of rugby, not just with the forwards the whole time, and actually gelling and getting into a final. Okay, getting hammered, but it was Leinster. It would have happened with any other team. If it was the Sharks, the Lions, the Stormers, maybe a bigger hiding even. Now you fire this guy for that. If we had to do that with Ivan, he wouldn't have lost even 2 years. He would have been gone
Uh,
long time ago.
but, but I think the problem here is man management because it's players and even coaches he brought in. Andres Kutsia and Chris Rousseau apparently are in on the revolt, and they were saying in the build up to the final, they barely spoke to Jake White, and vice versa. It was, it sounds like Jake does this thing where he goes into like, okay, I know what I want to do in this. I'm not going to consult. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going, like, I will say what I say when I say it. and there'll be no conversation. And I think also the players might have taken exception, and it's weird because it's strange to me that you'd have Nokir and Kutsia, who are definitely his, like, two of his top players, be the ones to say, no, we take exception to him saying things around, we don't have the depth to win. At the same time, I want to say, in a lot of ways, it's testament to their character, where they're saying, look, they know their places are secure, but they're like, no, actually, we believe in the rest of the player group. We believe, like, even where we're injured or we're unavailable, we know the boys here can do the business. And it's a problem that you as the coach are, very openly saying, listen, I just don't have the people to do this. Like every time you lose, you're like, yeah. And I'd like to bring up how people go after Cash repeatedly when Cash says stuff around, look, we were going okay, but, execution was lacking at times. That's not him saying, oh, the players are, like, we don't have the players. He's like, we can do better. Like, if we play to our full potential, we can do these things. We're not performing to our full potential. And for me, I'm like, that's actually a lot better to say than to basically say, like, look at what I have to work with. Of course I'm not going to win. That it's,
Yeah.
and
But
the weirdness is, even if it's true, it still feels so insulting to say to the people you're now going to say, hey, I need you to go out there, and if you need to die on the field, go die on the field for me. Actually, I don't rate you, though, but good luck.
the other thing, Moya, Ivan doesn't take responsibility. Beginning of the season, they were all out. No, fourth place. Last season was the same thing. And then mid-season, when the rails get off, it's like they're not vocal anymore. Like Elias mentioned a couple of times already on a podcast. That's the thing. So if you wanted to, if you talk the talk, you must walk the walk as well. And if it goes wrong,
Absolutely.
you have to answer that. You have to answer that. That's with Jake White. Any beginning of the season, he will be like, "Yeah, we're gonna play in the final," and then they do. Now he gets fired because of you didn't win the trophy. But in the
Well, I
last
mean,
4 years,
again, the firing is not because he didn't win. I'm pretty sure Bulls management are fine with what he's doing. It's literally because the people
attitude.
under him, yeah, his assistants and his players are like, yeah, we are doing this, but it's almost like we're doing this despite him rather than because of him. And sometimes that situation becomes untenable where you're like, actually, I don't want to, and this is something, sorry, I will say I want to semi-defend Cash to say there are times where he says, as coaches, we need to look at what we're doing as well. But the thing is, like, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. He needs to, actually address the things, and, we need to see those changes. Yes. But here, where, when you're a coach, especially where you've lost a final, it's so unfortunate, but that's not the time where you should be essentially throwing your players under the bus and being like, look, I just don't have the people. Like, I know how good I am. You all know how good I am. If you gave me quality people, I would do the things. And even if he didn't say it in that way, the problem with it is that's the perception, and that's what the players took from that, and that's also what his assistant coaches took from that, considering also they were essentially frozen out in the build to the final. And that's the thing. You can't, if he had said after the final, guys, look, I haven't been communicating with people. I took this all on myself, and I feel like I failed the players. That's one thing. But where you've essentially cut everyone out, and then you're like, it's everyone else's fault. Like, yeah, if I had better people around me, we would have won. That's not so great.
Yeah, but I take it like this: if you go back a couple of years, Luke Watson, um,
Mm,
team was in trouble, and the guy was vocal, and he was like, ugh. Robert de Pree with his two sons, the
mm,
supporters, and the other players weren't happy because there was also no results actually. But now you
mm.
played in a URC final, and now this shit show. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of bad. I would feel better about it if they were in a position that the Lions were
Mm,
and
mm.
didn't make playoffs, and he made that statement and say yes, okay, now
Exactly.
you blame it on the players, but look, you couldn't even make the playoffs, but now he
Mm.
made the final.
Yeah, no, he did. He did. But also, I mean, I think let's also make sure we mention the players made the final. They're like, yes, under his guidance, but the very same people he's saying, he doesn't have depth, like in terms of talent. Let's also remember this is the same guy who, what's his name, Gumede. Rassi has called Gumede to a couple of training camps and that type of thing. And remember how we were saying, how are the Lions not playing Renzo when he's been called up to the Bok training camp, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with the Bulls and Gumede, where Gumede did not get looked at even after getting called up to Bok camp, saying like, but this is a bit strange. How are you essentially leaving out this guy when even the national coach is like, hey, you've got something here. And then you say, we don't have the depth. It's the same where, it's like, oh, you have injuries. So what do you do? Oh, no, I'll just move my locks to the loose forwards. Forgetting that I have loose forwards there, or I'm basically telling the loose forwards that I have as backups, I don't trust you to do the job. So I'm going to move my locks to there and let's rather test our depth at lock. Things like that are not great for cohesion. And in fairness, I suppose him having been a successful national coach, it's a cutthroat. It's a cutthroat job to have. There's no room for sentimentality, and he's showing that. The problem is that might not work well when you have when you're at a
Quick thing I
club
want to
versus a
say,
country.
to rush things up now. Quick thing I want to say. With Johan Ackerman, if he goes to the Bulls, if that's confirmed and that's going to happen, and Jake White is on his way out, um,
Mm,
we saw with Plumtree last season. He said he came out and he said, "I'm going to start doing a running type of rugby with the Sharks." Um, and he failed with the URC. Managed to win the Challenge Cup, and this season things started to come together. And let's not forget, he has Springboks. How many Springboks? He has quality players, more
mm,
than the Bulls actually have. If you take
mm,
in
mm.
Springbok caps and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
with Ackerman coming there, he's not gonna play the Bulls type of rugby, the old Bulls type of
Mm.
rugby. So he's gonna pick up where Jake left and make it more like a type of rugby he played, let the Lions play in 2015 and upwards until he left.
Yeah.
2013, 2014, mostly 2015. Um, that's going to take a season. We saw now with the Sharks with Plumtree last year. It didn't work. Lucky to get the Challenge Cup trophy, but this
Mm.
season we saw the Sharks actually looking like they could be in the final. Things came
Mm.
together. So yeah, Ackerman. If I was a Bull supporter, I would be happy to have Ackerman,
Mm.
but I would also be worried to say what changes are he going to make. Maybe new coaches he's going to want. Maybe new players
Mhm.
he's going to want. Look at
Mhm.
his exodus when he left the Lions. How many players did
Yeah.
he take to Gloucester? Key players.
Mm.
Key players.
And here's where I want to say I think it's a word of warning for us at the Lions as well. if we do get a new coach, doesn't matter how experienced they are, doesn't matter who they are, patience will be needed because, it's very rare for a coach in and instantly you're winning everything, especially because there will be that time for adjustment, but also the thing that we need to be prepared for is some of our favorites might not be the coach's favorites.
Yeah.
A new coach can come in and be like, actually, I don't rate Ruan Venter, or I don't rate, PJ Buerta, I don't rate Ntlabakani, I don't rate this guy, I don't rate that guy. That's stuff that we also need to be prepared for, and not be like, yeah, new coach, and then suddenly be like, wait, I thought the new coach would do everything I wanted and more. It ain't necessarily so, especially in the early going.
But
Yeah,
can't
it's
they
a
just
blame.
bring a coach in, someone who's coaching, and just say, you know what, we keep Ryan for Ryan, but we bring a coach just to help this guy to find the purpose of coaching. Just because I don't think Ryan is a bad coach. He's doing some things sometimes that I not like a lot. Because changes all the time and so on. I say always, you want to be a strong team, do what the Crusaders do in the last few years. Keep on with the same players on and on. Even if we're losing, doesn't matter. That guy's got to click at the point of time and look, they win. Last weekend or week before, they go and they win the cup. Even this was saying, no, I think the Chiefs. And I say,
Yeah.
no, the Crusaders can do this because they come in a long way. They know one another, how they play, where's your strong point, where's your weak point. I
Yeah,
think that was what's happening in the Transvaal team or the Lions team. Pick your 15, pick your 23, and stuck with them. Even if you lost, stuck with them. There's going to come a time that the guy's going to say, no, this guy's doing this guy's doing this. And you're going to get the fruit. If we plant the apples today, it's going to take 3, 4, 5 years before the apples is going to be good apples that you get from the tree.
Yeah, and let's not forget the Crusaders lost Scott Robertson. They lost their coach. They have a new coach, and now to win a trophy against the Chiefs. I was expecting the Chiefs to win it, because they're more consistent and everything. Even when the Super Rugby started, Crusaders was um, they struggled, and then but like the Crusaders, they the first 2-3 rounds they slack, and then they pick it up, and then they win the trophy. Now with a different coach, they did it. They won it. Um, didn't expect that. Didn't expect that. But it's good for New Zealand. It's good for the Crusaders to win it. Um, but something needs to change at Super Rugby. I mean, again, you have two New Zealand. Ja, ja, die Cheetahs moet net ingaan. Franstein mentioned that 2026 is a possibility that the Cheetahs will go back to Super Rugby. I say put the Cheetahs, put the Pumas, put the Griquas, put them there.
Yeah.
Because I think New Zealand is tired of playing themselves in a final. It can't be good for their rugby.
It can't be good because you know one another. You don't know how strong you are. If you bring other teams from other countries, then you can say, okay, I'm there, and there. Because this guy say, oh, wow, next 4 years we go to a World Cup. Are we good enough to be in that World Cup? Are we going to prepare ourselves to do good? Because half of the teams we don't play. We don't play as Northern Hemisphere. We don't play South Africa teams anymore. So where we stand, because when we left, they said, oh man, it's going to, even stadiums was packed. When South Africa teams came, it's just got loose. 300 people. Because now there's no more South African teams to push you. The best out of you. You know? And I think also, I was telling Wynand the other day also, I think South Africa must take 2 teams or 3 teams and say we want to go back to Super Rugby. Go and play there.
No, that's the thing. I think that's the thing. I think that. Sorry, Pieter, gaan maar.
I was thinking also maybe some players to send them there and say, go pay for the Crusaders, pay for the Brumbies, and so on. And then the one player of I think of Crusaders say, no, we don't want the players, we want the teams to come back.
Yeah. Because the thing is, Australia's rugby internationally has been picking up. I think they will really give the British and Irish Lions a go. But if you take it provincially and you take the Rebels and the Brumbies and the Waratahs, they still not individually, um, how can I say, grown up against New Zealand on a provincial side. But if you take international, the Australian team as an international with their coach and the type of rugby they're playing is much more like the New Zealand, and they're getting better at it. But provincially, they're suffering. They're getting hammered by New Zealand teams all over again and all over again and all over again. And something needs to change. I mean, if I had to play in a competition and I know I'm going to be in the finals, um, what what's the use of that then? So throw in a couple of South African teams. I would say keep the Griquas and the Pumas and the Cheetahs. Give them a go. Logistic wise, we've done it before with the bigger unions. We had even Argentina there. We had the Sunwolves of Japan. So it can be done. It can be done. Just to give them another taste of something different. And that would actually pick up that Moana Pacifica. They showed up this year. They had a couple of good wins. The same with the Drua team, the Fiji, the Fijians. And now if you take in the Barbarian team, all the New Zealand actually, they not. They Fijian, they Tonga. It's not actually born New Zealand players. So they're coming up with the new players of New Zealand is actually coming from Tonga, Fiji. Then that guy gets exposed through Super Rugby.
Yeah. And that's where I say, like, a parting shot for me, because I do need to disappear now. But like, I strongly feel like, bring back, as you say, like, bring back the Jaguares from Argentina, and then bring in the Cheetahs, and I would say combine the Pumas and Griquas. They might not like it, but at the same time, I feel like you do actually want to be sure that, depth will actually be there for them. I think they might struggle a bit with depth. So, like, do something like that, just so it makes it a more exciting competition. Also, it means they'll get more eyes back on the product, because at the moment, I'm not sure how much viewership they're getting.
Yeah. Well, before you go, you know the rules. There's going to be a prediction.
Yes.
Bokke versus the Babas. What's your prediction?
I mean, it's rainy, and I'm hopefully going to be there, much as I will be, probably drenched at the time. But I want to say Boks by 5, just because, again, the wet weather will probably, and also the quality of the Barbarians. I mean, it's a lot of guys who maybe they haven't played together necessarily, but the skill level is so high that the cohesion will probably be there. So I want to say Boks by 5.
I'm going Boks by 8. And like you said, quality of the side. A guy like Mark Talia, you have him on the bench, then you're spoiled.
Right. Sure.
Pieter, your prediction?
Yeah, no, this is another South African team. Some players. I would say, sure. Yeah, Boks by 2 points.
Yeah, Boks by 2, Boks by 8, and Boks by 5. Let's see what happens. Guys, thanks for coming. Sorry we went a bit over time, but we're used to that. Moya will know. Yeah, guys, be nice. Let's check what we're gonna do against the Barbarians. I'm excited to see what the Boks are gonna do. I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do. I'm hoping for no rain cause so we can see that running rugby of the Barbarians. Because if the game is going to be tight, I think then I would go with my score even a bit higher than 8 with for the box. Because I think on a forward game, on a tight game, I think we will hammer them. I really
Exactly,
do.
because the cohesion, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the last words. Thank you, guys. Sleep tight,
Thank
and then
you.
we speak soon.
Indeed, indeed. Keep well, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.